At the moment, their voice is not heard, and it's also divided. Because whilst there are maybe 500 to 600,000 self-determinists in London, there may only be 500 Tibetans in London, or 1,000 Southern Cameroonians. Those numbers make their voice almost invisible. But again, if self-determinists come together, you've suddenly got 500,000 plus voices shouting for your freedom. That makes a big difference. So, why are we fighting an election? We're fighting an election because there is a need to profile those causes to the public, the British public in this case. But if we were in Germany, we could do the same in Germany or in Canada or anywhere. But in London, there are 8 million plus residents of London, at least. But there are, of course, 500 to 600,000 self-determinists. That's a very significant number of people, and I'll come back to numbers later. So London is the obvious place in the UK to stand for election, since there are many self-determinists living here. But our first reason for wanting to stand in the election on the topic of self-determination was because there is a massive audience. There are those 8 million plus Londoners that we want to hear the message, the cry for freedom from my brothers and sisters to the left and to the right of me, who represent peoples suffering under oppression at the moment. So it's a great audience. We also believe this audience will go global. We believe that what we're doing is so unique and so novel, and of course never been done before, that the world will sit up and take notice. And therefore, of course, it may not be 8 million people, it may be 800 million people may come to hear about what we're doing. And what we're doing is not just a one-off. Let me tell you, we will be repeating this in other elections, in other countries around the world after May 22nd, including, of course, in the UK. Because our first prime objective is to profile these causes that you see on the screen behind me, and many, many other causes, many, many other flags are not represented behind me because we haven't got room for those candidates. But if we could put up 100 candidates, we would have put up 100 candidates for all different peoples. But of course we've chosen candidates from the strongest, by and large, communities. So Sikhs, 200,000 plus Sikhs live in the UK. Of course we don't know exactly how many, because the government refuses to allow Sikhs to put down that they are Sikhs on censuses. They have to put that they're Indian or Asian other. There are over 100,000 Tamils, we think, in London. But we don't know, because you're not allowed to put Tamil in the census box. And nor, of course, are even my own people, the English, are not allowed to put that they are English. You have to say you're British. But Irish are allowed to put, quite rightly, that they're Irish. So there's an identity problem. But nevertheless, generally, we believe those are the sort of numbers we're talking about. So that's why, of course, we have Sikhs, a Sikh candidate. In fact, we have two candidates, Sikhs, Jagdish Singh and Upkar Singh Ray. We also have a Tamil candidate, Sokalingam Yogalingam, who's standing on this list. But beyond that, of course, we also have we hope to have a Kashmiri candidate, who are about 80,000 people in London at least. Again, we don't know. We're denied that right to know people's identity. We also have a Kurdish candidate, Dr. Yusuf Anwar, who represents over 50,000 Kurds that live in London. Again, there could be more. And we also have Doris Jones representing North Borneo, where she hails from, but also, of course, the Southeast Asia has many peoples being oppressed. West Papua, South Moluccans, by the Indonesians, the Sulu people in the Philippines, Tibetans, of course, by China, the Yuzgars in Zhang in China, and the Kachin and the Karen in Burma. It goes on and on and on. And Doris hopes to reach out to those people, asking for their freedom. We also have Aras Yurtseven, who's standing for the South Azerbaijani community, but also standing in general for the Turkic community that have been oppressed in the East, be it in China or possibly even in the Soviet, the ex-Soviet empire, now called Russia, who seems to be acting as if it's still the Soviet empire these days. So there are many peoples we're appealing to, and it's very important that those peoples realise that we are there to help them. We are there to be their voice. We'd like to be their voice in the European Parliament, but whether we are or not, we will be their voice in London and the UK for many years to come, and we hope a growing voice. Now, we're standing under the banner National Liberal Party, Self-Determination for All. Why? Well, the main parties in this country at the moment, the Liberal Democrats, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, don't believe in self-determination. They believe in the status quo. They believe that Sri Lanka should be a unified state, that China's borders must be sacrosanct. Ironically, that Ukraine's borders should be sacrosanct, despite the fact that it may be, because of immigration of the past, there is a Russian minority which is a majority in certain areas. They all believe in maintaining those borders, whether they're right or wrong. The National Liberal Party is the only party, active party that I'm aware of in the UK that actually believes in total self-determination, total right of peoples to decide their future without fear or favour. The main parties don't. They don't through their manifestos, through their leaflets, through their actions in government. They have never supported these self-determinist causes. In fact, of course, we've got evidence coming out of British collusion in the massacre of Sikhs, British collusion in the massacre of Tamils, and probably collusion with the massacre of Matabeles in Zimbabwe, and many other massacres and human rights abuses that the British government have turned a blind eye to. And the British government is composed of the Labour Party, or the Conservative Party, and now the Liberal Democrat Party. All of them do not support self-determination. So we had to use a party which does. And the National Liberal Party said, you have the right to put your candidates under that banner because we support that banner. So we decided, Nations Without States, the pressure group fighting self-determination, and National Liberal Party members came together to put together these candidates for this election. And the slogan is self-determination for all, which is absolutely vital. So the main thrust of our manifesto, as you might imagine, is self-determination. The Tamils for Sikhs, the Kashmiris for Kurds, the South Azerbaijanis for Tibetans, and etc., etc. And Jagdish Singh will read the manifesto out to you to explain the detail of that. So it's a very simple message. We urge the world to accept self-determination as the principal action within international relations. Something which Woodrow Wilson, the US President in 1918, stated that at that point of time, he said self-determination needed to be the imperative principle of international relations. And he had in mind breaking up of empires, the Austrian-Hungarian, the German, the Russian. Moved one imperialist and replaced him with another. And therein lies the problem. However, we believe not only can we appeal to the public, to their conscience, we actually believe we could actually elect MEPs in this election. Why? Well, I mentioned that there's about 500 to 600,000 self-determinants living in London. On the last election, 5 years ago, in 2009, 180,000 votes would have got you one MEP elected. If there's 600,000 self-determinants in London, if they vote, we win. We get the seat. And if we get a seat, we then go to Brussels, and then we work on the political parties in Europe to get them also agreeing with what we're doing. And we will, of course, be setting up NLPs in Europe, standing on this programme there too. So maybe they'll elect their own people as well. So this is just a start, but it's not just about profile. As I say, we believe we can also win elections in the future, and we particularly can win this election on May 22nd. So we're